Welcome to this explainer. Okay, right now, the world is facing a massive compounding health crisis. We're seeing an absolute explosion in metabolic and cardiovascular diseases. And honestly, the sheer scale of the problem is threatening to completely overwhelm healthcare systems globally. We're talking about chronic, life-altering conditions that are literally reshaping how we live. Okay, let's dive into this. 830 million. Just think about that for a second. That is the staggering number of people globally living with diabetes right now. And right alongside that figure, we've got 700 million people facing chronic kidney disease. These aren't just statistics on a screen, these are real epidemics of metabolic dysfunction. Facing numbers like that, medical researchers are desperately searching for modifiable risk factors. Things we can actually change. And that brings us to the core question of our analysis today. Could a simple vitamin help fight this? Could the so-called sunshine vitamin, something we've traditionally just associated with preventing rickets and keeping our bones strong, actually be a secret weapon against these massive chronic conditions? Section 1. More than just bones. So, to really understand this, we have to completely reframe how we think about this nutrient. We need to look way beyond calcium, beyond just skeletal health. The biological journey of vitamin D is, it's actually fascinating. It's really a pro-hormone, and its activation is this whole multi-step process. Step 1, a sunbeam, specifically UVB radiation, hits your skin and converts a cholesterol derivative into pre-vitamin D3. But it's not ready yet. Step 2, it travels to your liver, which converts it into 25-hydroxyvitamin D. By the way, this is the circulating form doctors are looking at when they draw your blood. Finally, step 3, your kidneys take that circulating form and activate it into 125-dihydroxyvitamin D. And boom, only now is it an active hormone ready to get to work. What's truly wild is where that active hormone actually goes. It binds to the vitamin D receptor, or VDR. Think of the VDR as a master key to your cells. For the longest time, we thought these receptors were mostly just hanging out in the gut and the bones. But research now shows these master keyholes are located almost everywhere. No joke, they are in the beta cells of your pancreas, in your heart, your kidneys, and all throughout your immune cells. This widespread distribution perfectly explains why this one single vitamin impacts so many radically different systems in your body. Section 2, metabolism and the heart. The connection here to insulin resistance is absolutely incredible. Meta-analyses of longitudinal studies show that for every 10 nanomoles per liter increase in your circulating vitamin D, there is an approximate 4% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. How crazy is that? And it works because vitamin D directly facilitates the biosynthesis of insulin right there in your pancreas. Plus, it acts as a really powerful anti-inflammatory agent. By shifting your immune system to a tolerogenic, anti-inflammatory state, it cools down the systemic inflammation that causes peripheral insulin resistance in the first place. Now, hold on, we do have to manage the whole magic pill myth here. For patients who are actually deficient in vitamin D, supplementation shows huge benefits. We're talking significantly lower fasting glucose and improved insulin sensitivity. It literally works wonders. However, for healthy folks who already have sufficient levels, large-scale clinical trials show that popping extra vitamin D pills doesn't suddenly result in a massive reduction in cardiovascular events or disease. The nuance here is absolutely crucial. You can't cure a disease with a vitamin if you aren't deficient in it to begin with. But fixing a deficiency, well, that can be life-changing. Section 3, the kidney connection. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point. Let's look at the final engine room where vitamin D is activated, your kidneys. Active vitamin D is fiercely protective here. It suppresses pathways that lower pressure, it actively inhibits inflammatory responses, and literally stops kidney cells from scarring and dying. But here is the tragic irony of chronic kidney disease. As the kidneys fail, they lose the ability to activate vitamin D. This drops your active vitamin D levels, which strips away those exact protective effects we just talked about, which in turn causes the kidneys to fail even faster. It's a vicious, accelerating cycle. Section 4, the danger of megadosing. So here's the narrative plot twist. If vitamin D is this amazing, shouldn't we just take as much as humanly possible? Actually, scratch that. No, we shouldn't. Taking massive doses leads to hypervitaminosis D, which causes something called hypercalcemia. Since vitamin D's original day job is absorbing calcium from your diet, overloading your system means you absorb way too much calcium. Your blood essentially becomes a calcium flood, calcifying your kidneys, your soft tissues, and ironically, damaging the very bones you thought you were protecting in the first place. Just look at the massive gap here between what we need and what is actually toxic. The recommended daily allowance for most people is just 400 to 800 international units a day. The safe upper limit? That's around 4,000. But toxicity, the danger zone where that hypercalcemia starts actually destroying tissue, that generally occurs when people are taking 10,000 IU or more every single day over a sustained period of time. And when you cross that threshold, your body's systems begin to cascade into failure. The symptoms of this toxicity are visceral. You will experience frequent urination and this excessive, unquenchable thirst. You'll face vomiting, a total loss of appetite, deep fatigue, and mental confusion. Your muscles will weaken, and ultimately, you'll develop painful kidney stones and permanent kidney damage. The whole shebang. All from too much of a good thing. Section 5. Finding your sweet spot. Which brings us to a classic Goldilocks resolution. We need exactly the right amount to survive. Not too little, but certainly not too much. To really optimize our metabolic health and prevent toxicity, the medical encyclopedia sources give us some very practical, direct advice. Check your labels. Seriously, many people accidentally megadose because they take a standalone vitamin D pill, completely forgetting that their daily multivitamin, their calcium supplement, and even their fortified orange juice also contain hidden vitamin D. It all adds up incredibly quickly. Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. Vitamin D is a brilliant, body-wide master key that holds incredible power over your metabolic and cardiovascular health. But it's gotta be respected. So I leave you with this question. Looking at your own daily routine, your sunlight exposure, and your medicine cabinet, are you effectively chasing health, or are you accidentally risking toxicity? It might just be time to check those labels and perhaps go get your levels checked.